Coach, 3 practices in, you can't really tell much, but how has this room evolved?
So it's different. It's a different look than what you had last year. Obviously, probably last year's kind of an anomaly that not many tight end coaches get the luxury of having that deep of a room. As far as guys that could probably start anywhere in the Big 12, I had 3 of them last year. So depth-wise, now we're just trying to add to that depth. We have some guys that have really stepped up in a big way. John Carlos Miller and Terrence Carter is an unbelievable addition. Jason Llewellyn is doing a really good job for us. So the pieces are there. Now it's just kind of learning to work together. It's kind of a new room, but it's learning to work together and just building on each practice.
As you start building on each practice with this first practice, how do you see your room as, pass catching, blocking? Is this room more complete than in the past, or is this something that you're going to have to build on?
I think it's similar as far as now looking at if you're looking comparing the 2 rooms from last year. I think you had more of a true run blocker in Mason, and then a little bit more of your athletic pass catcher, and they were both good enough to do both. But in Jalen Conyers last year, and then JC kind of could do both. But I think this room has guys that are a little bit more of a total package in the fact that they're still getting better in each aspect, but they're also a very high level pass catcher and run blocker already. So just from practice 3, first day of pads, I can't tell you how impressed I was of Terrence Carter's physicality. He's a little bit, some would say he's a little undersized for a tight end at the power 4 level. But he is as physical of a kid as I've been around. Loves contact, seeks contact, and obviously we've seen what he could do at ULL as far as pass catching goes with over 700 yards. So he's a very well-rounded tight end.
And how is the way you, when you're dealing with 2 different rooms, how does the way you coach evolve and change with a different room?
Yeah, I think each year is going to be a completely new year. I don't think coaching is a cookie cutter approach to every kid being able to be coached the exact same way. So I think each year you have to evolve, look at the personalities you have in your room, look at the learning styles you have in your room. I tell him this all the time. Jalen Conyers was as good did it help me as much as I helped him as far as learning how to coach a different type of athlete, a different type of mindset. It was coaching him at times because I'd never dealt with a guy like him as far as on the field go. It was uncomfortable for me at times, which is great, right? That's in uncomfortability is where you find growth. So just like we're asking those players to be uncomfortable in order for them to grow, it's the same for coaches. So I think, just learning how these guys are going to learn best and then putting it into practice the rest of camp and throughout into next season.
Coach, just as far as adapting your guys to the new scheme, I guess, and just given what Terrence's skill set was and what kind of he was asked to do at his last school, I guess, how do you see him needing to block as much, or would you like for him to mainly be like a pass-catching threat?
I hate just having, in all honesty, I don't like guys that are just one can do one thing. I think in Coach Leftwich's offense, similar to Coach Kitley's offense, we're going to ask those guys to be complete tight ends. And really the reason I say that is I'm looking out for these kids long term. I want them to play in the NFL. They have aspirations. I want to help them as much as I can get them to that level they want to play at. And, NFL organizations aren't just looking for, hey, he's a tight end that can just catch the ball. They'll just go get a receiver if they want that, a big receiver. Or if they'll go get, a 280 80-pound extra O lineman, that like so. So I don't want guys that are just good at one thing. I want them to be able to be versatile, and I think in Coach Leftwich's offense, we have the ability and we'll showcase their versatility.
And I know last year Kitley credited you a lot for some of the different kind of schemes that y'all were running as far as with the run blocking went, just kind of across the board. Now, what is your role like now with that?
It's the same. I still have the run game title, run game coordinator title, but in Coach Leftwich, I absolutely love what I'm learning from him as far as his offense goes. He's one of the best humans I've ever been around. There's no ego with him. I'm learning from him, and then if there's a little something that I think as a whole offensive staff, we all throw in little ideas, and so from run game purposes, if he wants a certain script done, he'll come to me and ask for, hey, script this part of 9-on-7 or this. This give me a couple different ways of running GY this week. So it's very similar to what it was, and it's just learning to work with different people, which is part of life. And I've loved every second of it, working with Coach Leftwich and then Coach G, Coach McGuire. He's been an awesome addition to our offensive staff as well.
And like you were saying earlier, it was very unique last year, just the situation you had having three capable starters. Mm-hmm. And obviously, like this year, a lot of the focus is going to be on JC and Terrence. But just, do you feel like guys like Jason or Trey could maybe not evolve to like starter types, but could still have a role for you somewhere?
Oh, 100%. I've been I was really proud of Jason yesterday. Kind of got tweaked up in early on in practice, and he ended up, just pushing through and just having a great practice. He's one that has gotten better every week he's been here. Like he continues to improve. He knows his limitations as far as he can't run like TC and JC. It's just part of it, but he's going to do exactly what he's asked to do. He's going to be where he's coached to be. And so he will help us. I think he is a really good physical blocker, so he'll for sure help us in the run game, and will do what he's asked to do in the pass game. And then Trey, had a little bit of an injury, and so haven't been able to see him. But before that injury, he was getting better and better, and I think the sky's the limit for his potential in being a receiver in high school and kind of how he's progressed and already up to 240 pounds, coming in at 205. So he's going to be a guy for us.
Over the years, you've been really intentional about promoting a family atmosphere in your locker room, especially for your tight end group. How has Terrence kind of fit into that?
He's one of us now. He's one of us. And it is. I think, and it goes back to the coaches that poured into my life. I want to make sure I pour into their lives the same way. Mason and Jalen were at practice yesterday, and they spent half the practice chasing my daughter around because she was so fired up to see them. So it really is. It is a family, and I coach these guys hard, but I hope they know, and I want them to know I'm going to love them even harder off the field. And Terrence has just embraced it. He really wants to be coached hard, but he fits right into our culture, and just such a he came over and helped me move during spring break. So that he is part of the family now.
And then JC, when he got here, he was obviously very nervous, far from home, but he's had a year to kind of open up. How have you seen him blossom into the athlete he is now, and how much do you think that helps him just be great?
I was joking with him. He actually did not go home for spring break. I was shocked. That was the first time and his parents are awesome. His family is awesome. But that was like the first opportunity. He had the chance to go home, but he was here in Lubbock. So I think it shows that he's really found a home here. He loves this building. He loves the people in this building. And so he feels like, he's away from his parents, but he feels like he is still at home now, and it really is cool to see him every day just develop into leader and has become more vocal in our tight end room, and I'm excited about his future.
And then could you break down how you're splitting responsibilities at practice with Garrett McGuire in terms of the running game?
Yeah, so Garrett's fully in charge of the running backs. That is his baby. He does a phenomenal job. He's got 3 really good ones. I know he joked about having to fill Taj's shoes, but he's in a good position. He's in a great spot and seeing those guys just from practice 1 to practice 3, how much they've improved in 3 practices. Garrett's one of the best football coaches, one of the best football minds. I mean, it's literally – he's like a savant of the game of football, and so he helps me in a lot of ways, and I hope it's goes back and forth.
Coach, you mentioned Jalen. Obviously, probably a little bit of a project, but how quickly has he transitioned back to kind of the football? Because it's obviously been a while since he was on the football field playing with his basketball career that he had.
Oh, yeah, yes. So Jalen, kind of a cool story. You know, he was just going to grad school here, and I mean, he is one of the most impressive looking humans you'll ever see in your life. He looks like Jack Reacher. I think there was a quote from Coach McGuire talking about it. He does look like Jack Reacher, but God, what a cool kid to be around. I mean, just well-rounded farm boy, like just hard worker. And he really is. I think he's having fun, which is, I mean, that's huge. So I love getting to coach him every day.
We'll wrap up with Don here.
Gus, can you tell us a little bit about Preston Harrison?
So he's working with the receivers right now. He came in right about 200 pounds. And so we thought, as far as his development goes, it might not be best for him to go against a 260-pound DN yet. So as far as his development goes, he's going to slowly develop and he might end up moving into my room one day, or he might stay as a bigger pass catch and receive. So we'll see what happens as his body just changes and develops.
You also touched on spring break and players staying here during spring break. How are y'all affected during spring break, coaches wise? I mean, did you, in terms of doing work, or did you actually did Joey give you a week off?
Well, no, Coach McGuire gave us the full week off. So I will say that Coach McGuire is the best in the country to work for. He gave us a full week off. Unfortunately, my wife did not give me the full week off. We moved houses just across town. We have a baby due in May, so we needed a little more room. So we moved across town. So my spring break was spent boxing and moving, but several of my guys came and helped me move at the end of the week. So I appreciated that.
I might ask you also about going back to the run game elements aspect, being a run game coordinator. With Zach gone, with Taj gone, obviously for run game, presumably will look different just for that alone. And you touched on doing this, like GY. Or you anticipate y'all still having a good bit of counter game in the offense?
Yeah, great question. So backs have different skill sets. So Taj is a little bit more of a downhill runner. He sticks his foot in the ground, one cut and go. I think we do have some guys that with Quentin and obviously Jacoby and even Cam, they can circle the defense. So I think our perimeter run game will improve. And I think, but I do to your question about counter, I think they're very good patient counter runners. Anyone with patience and vision and just a little bit of a burst can run counter. And so I think all 3 of those have that skill set, and we'll keep expanding on different ways to run GY and GT and all that good stuff.
And I guess inside zone, outside zone, which y'all actually ran a whole lot of last year. I guess the inside zone in particular with Taj.
Yes, sir. Every variation inside zone you can have. We'll probably dabble in a little bit more of outside zone this year because we do have guys that can circle the defense a little bit, and so I think we can expand on what we've done, whether it's pin and pull, whether it's outside zone, just different ways to get the ball outside on the perimeter.